this young man did. Came to himself. Proverbs says, if you raise a child up in the faith, when they grow old, they won't stray from it. We hear that fulfillment of that part of Proverbs. The young man came to himself. He remembered what was right. He went back and he went to his father, and that's what he told him. I don't come back expecting to be treated any different than one of your servants. But I do want you to know what I did was wrong, and I know it. And the father was immensely happy. If you remember part of the section over there we read in Corinthians, what's Paul saying? He said that when we're in Christ, we're what? We're new. All things are made new in Jesus Christ. But we hear in Christ's parable here that very concept. How did the Father treat the Son? Especially, you were dead and are alive again. It's a reason to rejoice. You know, one thing I think we do too little of is when somebody actually comes and accepts Jesus Christ, we ought to rejoice over that person. Too often we just, okay, well, that's nice. We have a new member of the church. Good. Folks, it ought to be something we rejoice over. I don't know about you, but I remember when I actually became saved, when God changed me. That was the most wonderful feeling in the world. It's something to celebrate. Here's the second lesson, though. The older brother comes along, and he hears what's going on, and he calls the servants and says, hey, what's all this partying going on? What's it about? And they tell him. You would think that he would be happy that his brother had come back. That he'd come to himself, that he was saved. What does he do, though? He's angry and refuses to celebrate. He gets mad. Father comes out and tries to reason with him. And what's his response? This son of yours. He doesn't bother saying my brother. This son of yours comes back. And look what you do. He says, all this time, and you never gave me a goat. He comes back and you killed the fatted calf. Well, folks, let me try to explain to you. That's sort of like we do sometimes, isn't it? If I've been asked once, I've been asked 1,000 times, do you believe in deathbed conversions? Well, yes. Look at the thief on the cross. Christ forgave him immediately, didn't he? Yet this brother can only think about what? You didn't do anything for me. Goes back to the same kind of thing, folks. When somebody is saved, it ought to be a special day. It ought to be something that we celebrate wonderfully with that person. All too often, we get this attitude as, well, they ought to have. Should have done this a long time ago. Maybe they'll do better. You know what? Doesn't sound very celebratory to me. It is a wonderful thing anytime somebody's life is changed. Because it ought to affect us in the same way. We ought to celebrate it. Here's somebody that was dead and is alive again. Part of our problem is we don't recognize the fact that somebody that's living in sin is dead. They're dead to God. This is like somebody we brought back to life. We make a big thing over the thing near-death experiences. And this person was died, and they came back, and we're worried about so much about what they experienced. Well, just be happy they're back. God does wonderful things for us, and sometimes we're so busy with ourselves that we forget to celebrate about the other person. Folks, one of the most important concepts within the church is the fact that when somebody is saved, they're brought back to life. If that's not a reason to celebrate, I don't know what is. The other part of it is what? We are supposed to be what? Paul said we are ambassadors for Christ. What does an ambassador do? He represents to all those that he meets that which he is an ambassador of. You have each day the opportunities to help bring somebody back to life by witnessing to them about your faith. That's where we should be looking to and thinking about. Many times we spend our days, our nights, most of our waking hours concerned with what? With ourselves. When we should be worrying about how am I representing Christ to others. It's not about their opinion, folks, of us. It's about their opinion of Jesus Christ. Is what we should be worried about. Our society puts a great deal of importance and emphasis on appearances. I forget how many $billion a year, not picking on you ladies, but that women spend on cosmetics. It's getting where men do the same thing now. Billions of dollars spent trying to do what? Look better. The place we need to try to look better is in God's eyes, folks. And that doesn't have one thing to do with your physical appearance. It has everything to do with your behavior. It has everything to do with how we represent Christ. Oftentimes, we're the prodigal son. But just as often, unfortunately, we're the older brother. We're so worried about us that we forget to worry about others. We're so busy worrying about our own salvation, we forget that our job is to help save others. Folks, once you're there, it should be real easy to stay there. But once you're there, the important thing stops being about you and becomes about everyone else. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes. You're the keeper of everybody who isn't saved that you meet, that you have the opportunity to invite. Now, the 3rd of April, just a little advertisement. The 3rd of April at 7 o'clock in the morning, we're having a men's breakfast. Every man in the church is invited. Folks, this is not particularly for us. It's designed for you to invite someone else to come. And I don't care what church they're a member of. The only thing that I'm worried about is, are they a member of Jesus Christ? Are they in Him? That's an opportunity we have to share time with other Christians, and it's also an opportunity we have to witness to our faith by how we behave. I pray that it's not just us there. I pray that every one of us, every man in this church is there. But at the same time, I pray that there's one or more person that they've invited there.